Hello, hello, everybody. Hello, welcome, welcome. If you can hear me, smile and wave. If you can hear me, smile and wave. And if your friend is sitting next to you and they can't hear me, just gently tap them on their arm and say, hey, you need to smile and wave. Well, let's give it up for the Tribonacci trio who was here. They were fantastic. I will point out that they're called a trio, and I did notice there are 4 of them, but that's okay. I'm sure there's a story there, and we're gonna get to the bottom of it before the night is done. It's so wonderful to be here. My name is Debbie Scheers, and I'm delighted to be your MC this evening at a singular feast. It's a festival with a feast, that's what we'll say, to celebrate the mission and impact of Blue Sky Bridge. We are so glad that you're joining us here for the largest fundraising event of the year. So by a show of hands, how many of you, this is your first time at this type of event for this organization? Okay, great, welcome, welcome. We're glad you're here. And by a show of hands, how many of you have been here more than once? Okay, well, thank you all for coming back, right? Together, we are celebrating 30 years of dedicated service to children and families in Boulder County through the Blue Sky Bridge mission. And we really look forward to sharing the wonderful work that we've been doing and that they're contributing to our community. And we hope, actually we know, that you will be inspired by the impact that they have made right here in Boulder County. Now, I don't need to tell you all that an event like this would never be possible without the generous support of our local sponsors. So we really want to recognize them for their contributions. Our sponsors help us keep costs for this evening to a minimum, which allows Blue Sky Bridge to maximize their fundraising efforts. So, our top sponsors are Stapp Toyota, Mitch Campbell, Tess Roaring, and Nathan Dopp. Now, all of our sponsors are listed on the back of your program, so please take a look. And this is what I'm going to ask you. When you're out and about around town and you see one of these sponsors, tell them thank you. Say thank you so much for your support and your sponsorship. A thank you goes such a long way, and they'll just appreciate it, trust me. So let's give a round of applause for all of our sponsors. Did you all enjoy your food tonight? It was excellent. Excellent. And the best part of a meal is the dessert. So don't forget that there's a dessert station over there with coffee and tea and some really beautiful looking items over there. And a big thank you to Bob Sargent and his amazing team at Savory Cuisines. Bob is also a very proud sponsor, and we're incredibly grateful. Now, some of you, I noticed, this is your first time here. You might not know a lot about the organization and who they serve or the impact that they have. And some of you, we love that you've been long-term sponsors or supporters, but you might not know exactly what's been going on recently. So we wanted to give you an update, and it's my pleasure to introduce the Executive Director of Blue Sky Bridge. Please welcome Ivan Jackson. Hi.
Thank you, Debbie.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everybody. How are we doing? Good. Thank you for joining us tonight to celebrate Blue Sky Bridge's 30th anniversary as Boulder County's Child Advocacy Centre. I think that deserves a large round of applause. After 25 years of hosting the movable feast, we are excited to introduce this year a singular feast. It's our new annual major event. So again, we hope you're enjoying yourselves tonight. Love to hear feedback from you, but thank you for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. Movable Feast was a really enjoyable event, and I know everyone who's been there said, well, this was good, why did we change it? The main purpose was so we could better showcase our mission of what Blue Sky Bridge is about, but also to help increase the revenue that we can generate to support the children and families that we serve. And I am very confident that we're going to do that tonight and have a lot of success. So again, thank you for being here. Tonight we're having a singular event for a singular celebration to a mission that we can all agree is vitally important for our community. Each one of us can do a lot by ourselves, but when you look around in this room and you see 200 people, just how much more we can do together to support Blue Sky Bridge. I am very excited that we see so many new and old faces here today supporting Blue Sky Bridge. Thank you. I'm excited to also give you an update of what Blue Sky Bridge has been doing over the last 12 months. But before I do that, there are groups of people and very special individuals that I would like to recognise. I'd like you to hold your applause for the moment, but once they're all standing, I would like you to recognise these people so we can do it in a uniform manner. So, current board members, can you please stand up? No, hold your applause, please. Hold your applause. Previous board members and staff. Previous board members and staff, you've got to stand up. I know who you are. Some of them are sitting at my table. You're not getting away with it. Associate board members. Anyone who's an associate board member tonight, I can see them around, so well done, thank you. Very important, local community partners. Again, I know there's some of them at my table, so we've got law enforcement. Yeah? We've got district attorneys. We've got child protective services, mental health and medical providers. Please stand up. Awesome. And finally, but not last, amazing Blue Sky Bridge and their volunteers who work for us so hard. Please stand up. You can take a seat there if you'd like. Together, you all embody the truth that it takes community to confront and ultimately eradicate child abuse. We are grateful for you being here today and standing so proudly. Okay, programs. So most of you will probably know we have 3 main programs, and our prevention education team this year provided body awareness classes and videos to 7,104 children in the Boulder County community. That consisted of kindergartners, 3rd grade and 5th graders. Hugely important. Our intervention team this year supported 250 families who are dealing with child abuse. Think about that number, 250. We also have a therapy team that protected 40 children and their families this year who really are requiring medical health and therapy to get them through some of the traumas that they've been dealing with. Very, very important. So I think our programs are amazing. The staff that run them are amazing. We are very, very fortunate to have them working for Blue Sky Bridge. We're recognising Blue Sky Bridge tonight for 30 years of amazing achievement, and that in itself is huge. But it's also important to take aware of the awareness and the importance of raising money, to allow us to continue to do such important work. Over the last 2 years, funding has been cut dramatically in many, many areas, but from government funding in particular. And we've lost over $200,000 in federal grants, and we're expecting to probably lose more in the current fiscal year. Just let that sit there for a minute. $200,000 that we thought we were going to be able to use to put towards the programs that we were on. Prevention education, intervention, therapy. I therefore, respectfully request that it comes tonight, we're going to do a paddle race. And what we would like you to help us with tonight is to fill that fill that gap for Blue Sky Bridge, so we can continue to work and do the amazing things we do for the children in our community who need it. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for offering your support to Blue Sky Bridge, not just tonight, but previously, in some cases, for many, many years. It is hugely appreciated and well recognised, certainly by all the Blue Sky Bridge staff and board members. Thank you very much. I would now like to take this opportunity to introduce Michael Dougherty, Boulder County District Attorney. Thank you very much, Michael.
Good evening. I blew my font up to the level that I used to not have to wear glasses for, and then I just looked at my paper and I was like, I actually need the glasses. But it is wonderful to see all of you here. It fills me with hope to see each and every one of you in this room, because people outside of this room have no idea of the day-to-day impact of Blue Sky Bridge in this community, for our kids and for our future. So if you're here, you are allies in the fight for our children and what Boulder County and Colorado will look like in the years ahead. And Ivan asked me to highlight the need and importance of Blue Sky Bridge to Boulder County. And it's a difficult topic to talk about, because in some ways what they do are things that we should never have to think about or deal with, and the trauma that the kids should never have to suffer. But I'm really honored to be a small part of this evening and to talk to you about it. And I want to talk tonight about prevention, response, and resilience. But as I begin, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about what happened today in Colorado and the shootings that we had here in Colorado and elsewhere in Utah, and the gun violence that continues to inflict communities across the United States. And we in Boulder County are no stranger to mass shootings and to the impact of those. But when I think about kids and prevention and response and resilience, those words, that theme, I feel with regards to gun violence and the school shooting that happened in Evergreen today. So I'll tell you one quick story from the King Soopers case that I'll share with you, because I think it speaks to our kids and our future. So the day after King Soopers, I was working out at Boulder PD with many of the people around the table here, and I was leaving the Boulder PD at the end of the day, and there was a young kid there with a sign up about supporting law enforcement. So I stopped and I introduced myself and I said, I'm the district attorney. And he asked me if I would promise to do justice in the case. And I said yes. And his name is Gil. And then I would see Gil on occasion. He started coming to different Boulder Police Department events and law enforcement functions. And I would see Gil at times. And Gil and others in the community continued to support all the victims, the families, and all the first responders from that day at King Soopers. And it was pretty incredible to watch that community support continue through the trial. So when I tried the case last year, the first day, I go from the courtroom during lunch into our DA training room. And we had allowed all the families to come together before court, during lunch, and after court each day, so they could be together and support one another. In the room, if you could picture it, it's about 70 to 80 people in the room. And I come in during the first lunch break, and I see this long buffet table set up with food. And trust me when I say in government and public service, you don't see a lot of buffet tables set up with food. So I asked someone in my office, I'm like, what's with the food? And subtitles was, are we paying for this food? And And she said, well, it's donated by a restaurant. It was from the West End, actually. She said, I think we have lunch set up for every day of the trial. And the trial was going to take weeks. The West End, the Post, ABOs, Cosmos, King Supers, the list just goes on and on. But one day I come in during the lunch break, and there's a buffet table set up again. And I say, so who's the lunch from today? And the woman looks at me and she says, it's from Gil. Like, Gil the kid? She's like, yes, Gil the boy. He opened a lemonade stand to raise enough money to buy lunch for all the King Supers victims for one day of the trial. That's what courage and resilience is in the face of trauma. So I can't, what they're going through in Evergreen right now is devastating. But I've seen a community fight back and rise again, and people come together in a time of trauma. And we're here tonight to support an organization that does that on an individual level, day after day after day. And I'm so glad that we're here today to celebrate and support the great work of Blue Sky Bridge. I will tell you, in my experience, I've been a prosecutor in New York City. I was in the sex crimes unit at the Manhattan DA's office. And then I was the deputy chief of the sex crimes unit, and I supervised 45 prosecutors working sex crimes cases there. And they're incredibly hard, difficult, and meaningful. And then I moved to Colorado, and I worked at the Attorney General's office as the head of the criminal section there. I've handled cases all around the state of Colorado. I share that with you because I've never seen an organization like Blue Sky Bridge and what they do. And what they do in terms of prevention. And the prevention programs they have, and then the strong response we bring with Blue Sky Bridge and their amazing staff, law enforcement, and the district attorney team, is exactly what kids need and families deserve in their times of trauma. But I think outside of this room, the impact of Blue Sky Bridge goes unnoticed for two reasons. First, on the prevention side. Prevention, if you have kids in the school system, you've heard of Blue Sky Bridge, and you know what they do. But if you don't have kids in the school system right now, you don't know about the important role that Blue Sky Bridge plays in helping kids develop good habits, good judgment, good relationships, and being able to call for help when they're being groomed or endangered or sexually abused. Prevention is a hard data point to capture. How many kids haven't been sexually assaulted because of Blue Sky Bridge? I think that number's in the thousands. I'm 100% sure of that. But that's a hard data point to capture, but that's true. Also, when Blue Sky Bridge is involved in a criminal case, which I'll talk about in a moment, often the perpetrator in the criminal case is known to the victim. And media will not report on a case if it's going to reveal the identity of the young person, of the kid. And that's the right thing, and that's a good thing. We make sure that media abides by that too. But it also then diminishes the opportunity of people in Boulder County to learn about how many kids we have who are being abused and sexually assaulted in our own community. Even a community like Boulder, which is truly special and amazing. So I'll take you back in time for a moment. I've been thinking about New York a lot this week because tomorrow's 9/11. I was in the Manhattan DA's office on 9/11, so I was thinking about how can I take a case from back there where we didn't have Blue Sky Bridge and demonstrate what Blue Sky Bridge does. So I had a case with this teenager. She was 15 years old. Her name is Jasmine. And on this particular day, Jasmine was being sexually assaulted by the defendant. Jasmine was 15. The defendant was 63. And this was occurring in a van in a park in uptown Manhattan. And the police noticed the van. When the police knocked on the side of the van's door, the defendant jumped in the driver's seat and took off. The reason he did that is because he had been previously convicted of assaulting kids sexually on 2 occasions. And thus began a huge chase all across Manhattan. And it ended with the defendant ramming through a police blockade and trying to get away and hurting some of the officers there. And when I first met Jasmine, I was alone. I was with the detective, and we interviewed her in this hard room, like a room where people are interrogated. Steel chairs, steel table, no trained professional, no forensic interviewer, no advocate. And we talked to Jasmine, and then Jasmine came down to my office a couple days later. She said she wanted to keep coming to my office every week, but never talk about the case. I didn't really know much, but I knew that I should say yes to that. And so she started coming to my office once a week and doing homework in my office, with me and my office mate sitting there. And sometimes we would talk about cases. And as time went on, she eventually became cooperative, and that defendant went to prison for many, many, many years, as he should. But I think about the fact that Jasmine never had counseling, never had therapy, never had a forensic interviewer conducting that interview. And as much as that case ended up in the right place, I think about Jasmine, I think about how her life would have been better served at that time of trauma by Blue Sky Bridge. Because Blue Sky Bridge has forensic interviewers and they get involved and they help people. And I'll give you just one data point. Ivan did a great job talking about the work of Blue Sky Bridge. But I'll tell you that when I asked our chief deputy of the sex crimes unit how many forensic interviews Blue Sky Bridge has done in 2025, the number was 23 for the month of July. That's just 1 month. And 1 in 10 children will experience child sex abuse before they turn 18. We had over 400 reported cases of child exploitation in 5 years in our office. And the sad reality is that the actual number of cases is far higher because of how many go unreported. That's why the prevention side is so important of what Blue Sky Bridge does. But what we have in Boulder County is truly special because we have Blue Sky Bridge on the prevention and on the response side, and then we have detectives like Cody Clark and others throughout Boulder County who are specially trained on handling these cases. And we have prosecutors like our sex crimes unit who are here tonight with us, who are specially skilled and dedicated in handling these cases. So last year, when I spoke to you, I mentioned a case where a couple men were selling a significant amount of drugs, cocaine, marijuana, and vapes to middle school and high school age children. And they were exploiting the addictions and preying upon them sexually after. And they sexually assaulted a number of kids and coerced them into sexual acts. Blue Sky Bridge did 16 forensic interviews in connection with that case. The prosecutors who worked on that case are here tonight. And they helped bring human trafficking charges and sex assault charges, child abuse charges. 2 of those defendants have since pled guilty, one going to state prison for 50 years, and the other going to state prison for almost as long. And that's the significance of those cases being built from the ground up, because Blue Sky Bridge does these forensic interviews, and they did such a good job with it that we were able to get guilty pleas as opposed to having to have these kids testify at trial. Another case we had recently was a 13-year-old girl who was in foster care due to abuse by her father. She spent the summer hanging out with 2 adult males. And at one point, while they were giving her drugs and she was extremely intoxicated, they sexually assaulted her. She was interviewed and helped and treated by Blue Sky Bridge. And that's why when the case went to trial, she was ready and our team was ready, and the jury just returned guilty verdicts against both of them just in the last 2 weeks. A really incredible testament to the work of Blue Sky Bridge. And also the work of law enforcement. And in Boulder County, we're really lucky we have a digital forensic lab. It's one of the few in the state of Colorado where we're able to analyze phones and computers, which show up in pretty much every case, as you'd imagine. And I want to recognize Sheriff Johnson, who's here, who's been a great champion for law enforcement and for those efforts. So in Boulder County, what we built is truly special in terms of the response, but also thanks to Blue Sky Bridge on the prevention side. And Blue Sky Bridge allows us to meet the urgent mental health needs of kids who've been traumatized, and to make sure that we're doing everything we can every day. And I see it every day, how important it is to address mental health needs at a time of crisis, with a full range of mental health and medical services that Blue Sky Bridge provides. The Centers for Disease Control found that the total lifetime economic burden of child abuse in the United States is $592 billion with a B dollars. And obviously the impact and cost to kids and families can't be overstated. So 2 final points that I'll share with you on the prevention side. The first is, we as a state need to do far more to hold social media companies responsible from harming our kids and allowing our kids to be harmed. And I promise you I'll continue to fight for that. There was a bill introduced this past session. It passed with overwhelming bipartisan support. One of those words we don't hear often enough, by the way, bipartisan. Overwhelming bipartisan support. It would have required social media companies to shut down profiles when people were dealing child sexually exploitative material, or engaging in human trafficking, or selling guns to minors. It was vetoed by the governor. That bill has to be brought back. We have to make sure social media companies are protecting kids, because kids are being harmed through social media. You know that, I see you nodding, and the reason you're nodding is because we all see our kids on their phones. And we don't know who they're talking to or who they're engaging with, and we see in our office and in law enforcement the tragic consequences of that. And getting the social media companies to be held responsible and accountable in protecting kids has to happen. And the other point that I want to make on prevention involves each and every one of you. So what I'll say is this, is that Blue Sky Bridge works closely with law enforcement, the district attorney's office, Boulder Valley and St. Vrain Valley school districts, health and human services. Every one of those with Blue Sky Bridge. But one of those is not like the others, and that's Blue Sky Bridge, because it is a non-profit. And I'm so glad, Ivan, that you shared what you did about the loss of funding for Blue Sky Bridge. And I'm determined to not get into politics here tonight. But in reality, the federal cuts are impacting nonprofits like Blue Sky Bridge. And I was reading with interest an article about Blue Sky Bridge a couple months ago, and understandably, Blue Sky Bridge, when asked about the cuts, said the first cuts will be to prevention, because we still have to be able to respond. That makes sense to me, but that is a reality that we should not accept. We can't allow that to happen to Blue Sky Bridge, because the prevention point is too important. So when we look at reducing and eliminating sex assaults and child abuse, the prevention part is so key to that. And the cuts by the federal government are devastating to Blue Sky Bridge and other nonprofits. When I talk about things at the national level, I know it can feel overwhelming. But we actually have a lot of power. And you being here with me fills me with hope for Blue Sky Bridge and for our future. Because this room can rally behind Blue Sky Bridge. We can help Blue Sky Bridge through this crisis and stand and fight for what's right. Will you stand with me and fight for Blue Sky Bridge? I think of the Gills of the world, the Jasmines of the world, your kids, my kids, and the fight is on for their future. And in a lot of ways, I don't know if you feel the same, but I think their generation is a better generation than mine. I think they have more strength, they're more vocal, they're more engaged. They certainly have a lot to say in my house. But in all seriousness, when I'm in the schools talking to kids, I think these kids have the power to make a better future. But we have an obligation to clear the path for them. When it comes to social media, mental health, fentanyl, all the dangers they face, school shootings, those are things that no kid should have to deal with. We have to clear that path. Part of clearing that path is supporting great organizations like Blue Sky Bridge. So being with you tonight fills me with hope for the future, because our kids are the future of this community, and Blue Sky Bridge is the pillar to making it happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, DA Dougherty. Your team in partnering with Blue Sky Bridge, the impacts that you're making, we all appreciate it. So thank you very, very much. It's now my pleasure to bring two people to the stage to share a little bit more. Our good friend and board member, Jennifer Jones, was supposed to be with us tonight, but she is under the weather, so we miss her. But Sabra, Willner, and Cody Clark have agreed to step into that place. So we're grateful for that. Do you each want a mic?
We're good. Yeah.
One is good, or do you want this?
We're good.
Okay.
We can share.
I love when people share. Okay.
Hi, friend. Nice shout out from the DA.
I know, right?
I'm excited to stand here with you.
This is amazing.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sabra Willner. I am a board member of Blue Sky Bridge. I've been on the board since 2021 and had the honor to work with Gina, our previous executive director. Thank you for everything you do. And our new fearless leader, Ivan. Thank you for joining. I'm excited for the future ahead. Not only am I a member of the board of Blue Sky Bridge, but I also have a 7th grade daughter in BVSD. And so I've had the opportunity firsthand to see the impact of that preventative education in kindergarten, 3rd grade, and 5th grade. And as Ivan talked about, there is so much more to Blue Sky Bridge than just the education. There is also the therapy, the intervention, and so much amazing great work that goes on. So for 30 years, this amazing stuff has been going on. And so tonight, as Ivan said, we're doing it a little bit differently. We're all getting together for a singular feast as one community united against a very important cause. So we want to tell you a little bit more about the cause. You heard some of the previous stories, but I want to share with you what happened in a 3rd grade classroom last year at BVSD. I want to tell you about a girl, we're going to call her Emma. And Emma had the opportunity to see the prevention education team come into her classroom and do their first week of training, which is all about body safety rules. And as the educator was talking about body safety rules, you could see that Emma was absorbing the information and sitting there with eyes wide open. And so when Blue Sky Bridge came back in for the 2nd class and started talking about telling a trusted adult, something shifted within Emma. With quiet bravery, she reached out to the educator and shared a story. She didn't necessarily have the right words, but she knew something was wrong. Someone was touching her in a way that made her feel uncomfortable, and she was looking for help. And as she disclosed to that educator, she also opened the door to protection, safety, and healing. Because what happened next was the educator made a report. Police and Child Protective Services coordinated with Blue Sky Bridge, and soon Emma and her caregiver were walking through the doors of Blue Sky Bridge. And as Michael talked about, what did they find? It wasn't that cold interrogation room. Instead, there was no strangers in uniforms, no cold office, but rather a warm and caring family advocate who made sure, with a calm smile and reassurance, that Emma knew she was not going at this alone. And from that moment forward, Emma and her mom had someone walking them through every step of the process. Emma told her story only once, which for kids is so important that they just have to do this once. Told her story in a safe setting, received a medical exam for reassurance, and then began the important road of healing therapy. Week after week, she was given the tools to name her feelings, ease her nightmares, and find her courage again. It was also healing for her mom. Her mom learned how to support Emma and how to find her own space to heal. Soon enough, Emma was laughing again, finding her confidence again, ready to get back to school to learn, ready to get back on the soccer field, really ready to get back to being a child. Emma's mom called Blue Sky Bridge a lifeline. Amazing people like my friend and fellow board member Cody, who's also a detective for the county of Longmont, or the city of Longmont, is one of the people who does the amazing work behind the scenes, along with so many other people that help cases like Emma.
It's awful that we have to talk about the Emmas of the world. Michael Dougherty mentioned a statistic that I think got lost, and I really want everybody to sit with it for a second. 1 in 10 children will be sexually assaulted before their 18th birthday. That sends chills up my spine every single time I say it. Some of you in this room may not have children, but I know that every one of you know 10 children. The fact that you guys are here as allies in this fight means everything. for the Emmas of this world who need a safe place, who need that healing, who need a comfortable place to be able to talk about the horrific things that have happened and begin their healing journey. The other thing that I think is also, well themed throughout the evening is that this is a singular feast. And I love what Sabra said, that this is a singular community coming together to fight a single cause. And to continue that theme, the beauty of Blue Sky Bridge is that it is a singular place for children. They don't have to go to a police department and see a large person in uniform carrying a gun and talk to them, and then go somewhere different and talk to a therapist, and then go to court and talk with the district attorneys, and then go back and talk again. It is one place, one safe haven, one lifeline where they can begin that journey for that healing. So I would ask that all of you think about that one kid, that Emma that maybe you know or maybe you don't know in your life, as we begin the process of raising funds to continue the amazing journey of Blue Sky Bridge. Thank you.
Thank you both for sharing that. We appreciate that. And now, I feel like we've just been keyed up to the exact right moment. We have this beautiful opportunity to all come together as a community and to make a difference, to make a big difference. So we've never done a paddle raise before, so I'm going to explain it to you, and then we'll move through it. I'm going to ask for support at different levels. And I'm going to hope, I know, that you're going to raise your paddle at least once tonight when you hear a level that speaks to you financially and emotionally. And you'll have several opportunities to do that. So because we've never done this before together, we have 117 paddles out there. If you could raise your paddle, this is a human-operated system, so we have to practice and make sure that it's working. If you can raise your bidder number high in the air, and I need to see more because I know there's 117 out there. Raise your bidder number, perfect. Okay, now put it down, and now raise it again just to make sure your arm didn't get stuck in the down position. It's excellent. Thank you, you've got the handle, you know exactly what to do. And so when you hear that dollar amount that speaks to you, now you've got it. You just raise your bidder number. Now, as you heard Ivan share earlier, Blue Sky Bridge has been deeply impacted by cuts to public funding, and that number is more than $200,000. So tonight our goal is to raise $150,000, hopefully more, right? And that's going to ensure that every child and family continues to receive the protection, the advocacy, and the healing that they deserve. So I'm going to start with $25,000. I know I heard it. It's a big number. It has a huge bidder 216. Well, that is fabulous. Bidder 250, bidder 248, bidder 217, bidder 163, bidder 218, bidder 124. Thank you all. Bidder 139, bidder 216, bidder 157. Thank you. Bidder 127, bidder 104, bidder 160. Thank you all. Total. The grand total tonight, $301,600. That is unbelievable. That is amazing. That is for all of you coming together as a community and saying, we care and we are going to make a difference. And I know the entire team at Blue Sky Bridge is incredibly grateful for your work. So we cannot thank you enough for all you've done. Thank you.